Hello, I am Erica, Hollywood's leading success coach, and I thought we could chat a little bit about getting an agent or a manager because almost everybody works with representation, and you might have some questions about that. So, I thought I would answer 5 of the most common questions that I get when it comes to representation, and I hope it helps you. Okay, so let's dive in to number 1. Should you get an agent or a manager? So let's talk about the differences for a second. And if you already know the differences, you can skip ahead to number 2. But basically, an agent is going to be the person who does your contracts. They're going to be the one who does your deals, who will try to get you better money. And, if you were to book a recurring or a series regular, they'll also work on how many years the contract will go for. So any kind of terms with the contract. So that's why an agent is really important and helpful because they will do all of that lawyer type stuff, and you'll definitely want somebody on your side, on your team, rooting for you, helping you with those things when you do book a role. Now, they also will get you auditions, okay? Obviously, an agent will help get you auditions. So agents and managers have access to listings that we don't have access to. Only agents and managers have access to this database where casting directors will upload the roles for the day, and that's only able to be seen by agents and managers. So if you're just starting out and you're used to getting your own auditions via Actors Access, LA Casting, things like that, usually the network and the studio auditions, most of those higher level SAG auditions are going to be in this private database that you do not have access to, and you will need an agent or a manager to help get you those auditions. So the agent will help get you auditions, and they will also do all the contracts. Now, it used to be that the managers didn't get you auditions, and they would just sort of help you decide things, like help you make decisions in your career, help you sort of form your path. But now managers, I've been talking really fast, haven't I? But now managers can get you auditions the same way agents can. So they're not going to be the ones that do the contracts, and they're probably also going to have a more intimate relationship with you. The agent you may not communicate with as frequently as the manager, but both can get you auditions. So let's talk about which one should you be getting. And by the way, this basically applies for writing and directing too. My writer clients, you can go for an agent or a manager. And I would say the same to actors. You can get both. And you will hear lots of different things in this industry. People telling you, oh, you're not ready for an agent, or oh, you're not ready for a manager. Oh, just have one for now. I don't buy into any of that crap. So you do what feels good to you. I know that sometimes people have a fear of getting an agent or a manager because of the percentage that they take, right? So an agent might take 15% and a manager might take 20% of your paycheck. And people think, oh my gosh, I don't want that many people on my team because so much of my money is going to them. Here's the thing, that is a scarcity-based mindset. We want to think in abundance. We want to prepare for you making so much money that giving 10%, 20% away to representation is barely going to make a dent in the amount of money that you're taking home. So we want to prepare for the bigger opportunities and not think like, oh, well, I'm only going to make $1,000 on a job, and then after taxes and after my manager takes a fee and my agent takes a fee, I'm left with nothing. Don't prepare for nothing. Don't prepare for those smaller roles. That is scarcity-based mindset. That is focusing on lack. So let's focus on abundance. Let's be like, oh my gosh, I'm happy to pay my agent and my manager, and there's still so much left over for me. Because the way I see it is the more people you have on your team helping you get auditions, the better, right? To me, that's an abundance mindset. I believe that I would love to have more people on my team helping me out and getting me reps. So whether you should get an agent or a manager, it really doesn't matter which you start with. I know people in the industry will tell you otherwise, but I have had clients go for both no matter where they are in their career, even if they're just starting out. and both are good. So you can get either one. Obviously, when you start booking work, you definitely want to make sure you have an agent so they can do those contracts. If not, if you're in a bind, you can hire a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer. But you can get an agent or a manager. They are both going to help you get auditions, and don't be afraid to add more to your team, right? We want more people rooting for you. Oh, that just changed the lighting. Sorry. Okay, so let's go to number 2. When should you get an agent or a manager? And this is kind of a 2-part question, because number 3 is, when should you get a new agent or manager if you're not really feeling your current representation? So let's go back. When do you get an agent or a manager? So I think this is an internal readiness that only you can decide. An agent or a manager is when you are ready to start booking network and studio projects. When you are ready to start going out for the projects you see on TV, the projects you see in the theaters, those bigger SAG projects, when you feel like you're ready, like you can walk into a network audition and feel confident, and you know that you can ace that audition, that is when you should get an agent or a manager. And I know that is going to be very different from what other people tell you, because other people are going to tell you like, oh, you should wait for them to come to you. Oh God, that is such bullshit. I don't wait for anything. I'm not sitting around waiting. I'm not taking a passive role in my career. Are you kidding me? No. People tell you to wait. People tell you like, wait until you have a certain amount of credits. Wait until you win awards at festivals, blah, 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 blah. No. I do think you should have experience. Look, there's going to be an exception to every rule. So even me telling you should have experience, there's probably examples where somebody didn't really have experience and still got an agent. So I think for yourself though, and for your own integrity of going into those network auditions, you should have experience. And when I say experience, I mean on-camera experience. When clients come to me who have a theater background and they haven't really been on camera ever and don't really have experience with that, I always tell them like, go do some short films or go get into an on-camera class, because acting in theater is so different than acting on camera. And it's really important that you get experience of seeing yourself on camera and acting on camera. So whether it's a class, there's so many great on-camera classes in LA, and I'm sure now since COVID, you can do some virtually no matter where you are, or submitting yourself on Actors Access to getting student films and low budget films and auditioning for those. That is going to be really helpful to get you experience. Now, I used to say, oh, it's good if you have like maybe 10 credits or so of like the low budget student film kind of stuff on your resume. Now, I wouldn't say that, because I don't believe in like numbers. I don't believe that you need a certain amount before you can move forward. I think it is internal readiness. How ready do you feel for the next level? So when you feel ready for your next level, when you feel like, okay, I've had some experience in front of camera, I feel ready, I'm there, then go for it. Absolutely go for it. Okay, so let's talk about, when do you get a new agent or manager? If you have an agent or manager now and you're wondering when is the right time to get a new one, let's talk about this, okay? Because I think so many people stay with their agents or managers for way too long. I will have clients come to me and say, well, my agent is really nice, but I've been on like maybe 2 network auditions in an entire year. Holy shit, 2 auditions in a year? That is, nope, not good, not good. People stay with their reps because they're nice. But you are in a business. You are trying to make money and book work. And if you're going to be doing that, you can't keep people around just because they're nice. That is not justification. So you really want to take a look at, how often have I gone out? Now, I'm not really even going to tell you what's a good number, but if you feel like you have hardly gone out in 6 months to a year, and it's less in 6 months to a year, if you can count it all on one hand, not really enough, right? Now, If you, here's the thing. If you are not doing any of the work yourself and you're relying 100% on your agent or manager to get you the auditions, then I would keep them around a little longer and you do some of the work too. Just because you get an agent or manager, it doesn't mean that you have to stop working. You should still be building relationships with casting directors. You can still get yourself auditions through relationships. Through casting director workshops, those kinds of things. And if you're not doing any of that and you're basically just sitting on your couch waiting for your agent or manager to call, I wouldn't really blame it all on the agent or the manager. I would definitely have a conversation with them. Before you decide to leave, have a conversation. Maybe check the submissions report. How many times have they sent you out? Have they pitched you at all? They're probably not going to pitch you for a co-star, but anything above a co-star. Have they picked up the phone or sent an email to the casting director? Have they pitched you at all to try to get you in the door? You want to ask these questions, find out what's happening behind the scenes. Because there are, chances are that they have sent you out over 100 times and you just haven't gotten the audition. And then you can have a conversation about okay, is there anything that we can tweak in our marketing or in our approach to try to make this happen? So you really want to be strategic about it in that sense. Don't just judge it based on if they're nice. You really want to take a look at the business side of things of what are we putting out? How is that going? And is there anything we can do differently to make this better? Now, sometimes people are afraid of dropping a rep before they have a new one because they think when they go out and look for a rep, they look more appealing if they already have an agent or a manager. Because it looks like, oh, I'm more desirable because somebody already wants me. And so I don't want to let go. I don't want to drop my rep while I look for a new rep. Because all these new reps are going to be like, oh, she's desirable, he's desirable, they're desirable because they already have an agent or manager. This is a total self-worth issue. Because, and I get it, but this is a narrative that is taught in Hollywood all the time, okay? So I understand this is a learned thing, that it's not necessarily coming from you. But if you believe that you are not worthy unless you have an agent or a manager attached to you already, then you are not going to get representation that believes in you the way that you want them to, because you don't believe in yourself the way you want them to. So stop feeling like you are not worthy if you don't have an agent or a manager. If you drop your representation before you look for a new one, that doesn't make you less worthy in a rep's eyes. The only way they're going to think you're not worthy is if you don't think you're worthy, because how you feel internally will be reflected back to you in your external world. So it's so important that you understand that. I think, and not even just for dropping representation and switching managers or agents. I think even in general, when you're going out for a representation for the first time, so many people don't think they are worthy if they don't have an agent or a manager. Man, I'm here to tell you right now, you are 100% worthy on your own. I'll give you another example. I had a client who had a coach or someone tell her, you should try to film like a short film and get a well-known actor attached to it, so that'll give you more credibility when you're trying to look for an agent again. So that way, when you look for an agent, you can say, oh, I worked with this well-known actor. Here's the thing. Is that a tactic? Sure. Is that a strategic tactic you can try? Sure. Excuse me. It's not necessarily bad, but let's talk about the reasoning. That tactic told her that she was not worthy on her own, that she needed to attach herself to a celebrity or a known actor in order to become worthy of an agent. And I just think that that's a bunch of bullshit. I don't think we should be doing anything or buying into any narratives that say that we are not worthy unless we attach ourselves to another person. And I get it in Hollywood. Look, I'm working on selling a TV show right now, and we are trying to get a known production company attached because we don't have a ton of credibility. But we're doing it as a tact, but we don't feel unworthy of it. We're not doing it because we don't think we're worthy. We're going to go both ways. So you can do those things as like a tactic, a strategy, but you have to believe that you are worthy without those things, that you are worthy by yourself. With no representation, with no attachment, you are worthy. So I really want you to think about that. Now, when you go to like, oh, should I drop my agent or my manager before I go get a new one? Here's my only rule for that. From an energy standpoint, if you feel really crappy about your current agent or manager, like you just feel like shit, like you think about them and it makes you cringe, it makes you feel unworthy, like if you're feeling badly when you think of that person, you have to cut them off. Because from an energetic standpoint, you're never going to find somebody new who's going to feel really good while you're still holding on to this energy that makes you feel bad. So for me, it's just from an energetic standpoint of what feels good for you. I don't care about the strategy of holding on to one before you get the other. I don't care about that. If you feel bad when you think about your current rep, and I've had many clients who have felt this way, where just thinking about their rep just like made them frustrated or sad or discouraged or defeated or angry because they just really didn't like them. Letting them go is going to do so much good for you. Letting go of that negative energy that is like weighing down on you, oh my gosh, it's going to make room for something new to come in. And I think so many times people are afraid of letting go of the old before something new comes in. But I'm telling you from an energetic standpoint, it is so important to let go of the stuff first. When you let go, you are creating space, you are making room for the new thing to come in. So that is how I would work on making that decision of when to drop your rep. And let's talk about if you are afraid to contact your rep. If you're afraid to email, like I had a client once who was like, oh, some friends had a really good idea. They said, if you want to, it was around the holidays. If you want to go talk to your agent, why don't you buy them a bottle of wine for the holidays and bring it to them, and then you'll have a really good reason to talk to them. And I was like, no, you don't have to buy a present for your representation to justify talking to them. That is crazy pants, okay? And again, this goes back to the worthiness. Like I am not even worthy to talk to my rep. I am afraid to talk to them. Now, the fear of talking to your rep can go in two different directions, right? So on one hand, you could be afraid to talk to your rep because they have instilled that fear in you. And they have made it clear that they don't really want to hear from you. And maybe you've reached out to them before and they just don't even answer, or it's crickets for a long time. Maybe you have to follow up 3 times before you get an answer, right? So on one hand, the fear is cultivated by them. Now, there is a possibility on the other hand that the fear is cultivated by you. I know you don't want to hear this, but hear me out. I think that a lot of people have the narrative like, oh, I'm so scared to reach out to my rep, and so they don't even try. Okay, so if you're afraid to reach out to your rep, but you haven't really even tried, so like we can't even blame it on them yet because you haven't really tried. Go try. Go try to reach out to them. And so check, is it me? Is it me that's cultivating this fear because I haven't even really made an effort? Or are they cultivating this fear? And if they're cultivating the fear, hit the road, Jack, okay? Now, I'm not saying that you should be talking to your agents or your managers every day. Everyone's going to have a different relationship with their representation, and different reps have different communication styles. And so when you get a meeting, that's a really good question to ask. What is your communication style? How often do you like to communicate? Some people like to check in once every 2 weeks, once a month, right? Um, a manager you might talk to more frequently. So ask what their communication style is when you get the meeting. So up front, you can both be on the same page and you know how that works. Because on the other hand, sometimes actors can feel really needy and desperate if they haven't gotten an audition. And so they just want to know what the hell's going on. And they're like, why isn't this happening? Why am I not getting auditions? And they want to talk to their agent like every day. But the truth is, your agent's probably really busy hustling their ass trying to get you and all their other clients auditions on a daily basis. So they don't have a ton of time to like talk to you and baby you and hold your hand in that way. I think that a lot of reps probably don't want to have to hold your hand so much. Be an adult. And so you don't need to be talking to them all the time. But I think communication is a good thing, to be transparent about the work that you're doing or about the work that they're doing, how we can always make things better, how, what's the work that you can be doing. So you don't want to be afraid to have those conversations. So that's what to do if you are afraid to contact your representation. I feel like I left something out about getting a new one, but if I did, when you join Land Your Dream Agent, we have a Facebook group and you can post any questions in there and I will answer them. But the final thing that I wanted to say to you isn't really a question. It's something that I just wanted to share that I've worked a lot with my clients on with getting new representation. I believe that it is going to benefit you the most if you get an agent or a manager who fully believes in your vision. Now, the industry is changing for the better. There are still a lot of agents and managers that have the old school thinking of wanting to market you by putting you in a box. By saying like, oh, you're the girl next door, or oh, you're the comic relief dude, whatever those boxes are. Oh, you play, like one of my clients, she shaved one side of her head. And so they're like, oh, okay, so you'll play the butch lesbian. I just hate these boxes so much. And I really do believe that Hollywood is moving away from them. Thank God. There are so many, examples now with streaming, how we are moving into more complex, real characters that are not stereotypes. And I also, at least from the actors that I have worked with, that actually reminds me, I want to say something about writers after this. The actors that I have worked with, I don't think any of them that I've worked with want to just work in those boxes. The actors that I've worked with have dreams of playing complex characters because they want to tell really interesting, juicy stories, and they don't want to just be put in a box for the rest of their lives. And if you like the boxes and you want to play stereotypes, more power to you, then you should go for it. And you're totally okay to sign with a representation that just believes in those boxes. But if you're not, if you're similar to some of my clients where you really are interested in playing a myriad of roles, you're interested in exploring characters beyond these boxes, and you don't want to be seen as just a box to check, then you need to look for representation that is not in that old school thinking of how they want to sell you. You need to seek out an agent or a manager that doesn't fall into that old school thinking and is totally on board with where Hollywood is going, breaking free of these stereotypes. So I know that we all complain a lot about these problems in Hollywood. We complain about the stereotypes. And as scary as it is, we have to be part of the solution. We can't just wait for Hollywood to change. We have to be part of the solution by having those conversations with representation. One of my clients came out as non-binary in October and had to have that conversation with their rep of what that looks like moving forward for auditions and what kind of roles. And by them having that conversation, they are helping make the change we want to see in Hollywood. We have to be part of that solution. So really look for representation who believes in your full vision and isn't interested in simply marketing you as a box to check. And don't say yes to the ones that that are the old school thinking if that's not what you want. People still feel like, oh, I'll just take whatever I can get. This is the only agent that's offering me representation. And even though I don't really like them or it doesn't really feel aligned, I better take it because I don't have any offers. No. People think that no agent is worse than a bad agent, and I fully disagree. I think a bad agent is worse than having no agent at all. Again, you are not making room for the right one to come in when you take the wrong one on, okay? It's kind of like dating a bad partner. Well, at least I'm not single. I'd rather have a bad partner than be single. No. Again, it's that scarcity mindset. It's that mindset of, well, if I don't take this, another offer will never come along, right? I mean, I had a client who dropped her rep once, and then they dropped her once, and I ended up getting an agent or manager again every time, like 2 months later. So believe in abundance. Believe that you can get what you want. Believe that the universe wants to support you, and that includes in representation. Believe that you can find the representation that you really, truly want. So I hope this was helpful. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Oh, the writer thing. So this is all to help you make a decision about Land Your Dream Agent. Land Your Dream Agent is my most popular course I have ever sold, ever. And it is, it's going to help you get the agent or the manager that you truly want. I don't believe in formulas. I think that there's like this old way of thinking of like, here's how you send a cold submission to an agent. Like the old, I've had clients do this in the past years ago because it was so prevalent in the marketing, place of acting of like, you need to choose 2 celebrities that you are like. I'm like Reese Witherspoon mixed with Jennifer Garner. Things like that. And I'm like, oh, I hate that. Because you are you. You are not them. Don't try to sell yourself as somebody else. Try to sell yourself as you, the most authentic way you can. The cold submission way that I teach, cold submission is part of what we teach in the agent course, and almost all of my clients ever have gotten reps from cold submissions. I teach you no formula. I mean, I teach you like a general way to lay it out and stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what to say. I think it's so important that you are yourself and you stop following, these formulas and the things that we teach, and like all of my clients' emails look different. Like one of my new private clients, as a private client, you get all my courses, so he gets the agent course, and we talked about what his submission was going to be. And I just said, look, I think it's important that you show personality so that it's not like the same email that any other actor could have sent. How can we know that this is you and not some random actor? And that's really all the feedback I gave him. And he came back with a very clever email that I loved. I laughed out loud when I read it. It was so him. And it wasn't like anybody else's email that I had ever read. And I'm not telling you this to like scare you into like, oh, now I need to think of something super creative to be so different. No. My point is, you don't need to follow a formula. You need to just be yourself. And this goes for writers and directors too. We can talk about, writers. I think that this course is really good for writers and directors also. And again, any questions that you have while you're going through it, just post it in the Facebook group and I will answer your questions. So you don't have to feel like you're in this alone. But, writers too, I'm just so sick of the formulas. My writer client came up with a really clever cold submission on his own that just came from his heart, that was his personality. And I know that another writing coach would tell him, oh my God, don't do that. Don't send that. That's going to be like rocking the boat. That's not what they want to see. That's so, oh no, don't do that. And I was like, I love this. This is authentically you. And it's going to repel the people that are not for you. And the people who are for you are going to freaking love it. And he's gotten some really good responses from people like from managers saying they love his email. So I just wanted to show you that we don't do formulas. I don't believe in them. I think that anything that asks you to be anything less than yourself is going to hurt you in the long run. You're here to pursue your dream the way you want to. I'm not here to tell you how to pursue your dream. I'm just here to help you. I'm just here to help you get all of the things you want. But at the end of the day, it needs to be your voice. You need to do things in the best way that feels right for you. So, okay. So that's all I have. I know this was long. I hope the timestamps help. But come join Land Your Dream Agent if you haven't already been part of the program. I think, we're about to get into episodic season. Things are going to start picking up. July 4th is always the time when things start to pick up. So this is a really good time. Well, really any time is a good time to go for an agent or a manager. So if you get Land Your Dream Agent, use it forever. And, anytime you need a new agent or manager, use it again. It really doesn't matter what time of year you go after it. But right now is especially great because episodic television is really going to pick up as we go into July. And then August, September, as we go into the fall. So right now is a fantastic time for you to look for an agent or manager. Land Your Dream Agent will show you exactly how to do it. I walk you through so much of the process. I even show you examples of reels, examples of headshots, examples of emails and drafts and all this stuff. Basically everything that you would need, and anything you don't need, you don't, or anything that's not there or something, just ask in the Facebook group and I'm here to answer your questions and to help you. Let's get more representation this year. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with your agent or manager search. I love you. Mwah. And Eric Warnick signing off.